Surely you've noticed, Stugotz, that Amin, who just came in looking emotionally, his spirit kind of rumpled, that he is taking a battering, flying back and forth, and we have a pretty long day today between what we're doing this morning and what we're doing tonight at 7:30 p.m.
Why is today long?
Because of what we're doing tonight at 7:30 p.m.
Wait, what are we doing tonight at 7:30 p.m.?
Well,
that is an excellent question.
We'll tell people more as the day goes on, but all we're telling them right now is that they need to be gathered around wherever it is they get their YouTube supply and make sure that they're at 7:30, that they're near some place where they can watch or hear us. That's all we're telling them so far.
Their YouTube supply?
That's right. Wherever it is, you get your tube.
The internet.
I know. But you might be getting the internet at home. You might be getting the internet in the bathroom. You might wherever it is that you are with your internet. The internet is pretty everywhere. But wherever it is you are in your relationship with your internet at 7:30, it doesn't mean you're going to be around the internet. And I'm telling you that you should be around the internet. But it makes for a very long day and week for us when we do one of these things on Monday night.
Do I have to do it? I mean.
Yes.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
Huh.
Amin just flew in, all rumpled and broken. Where are you flying in from? Are you flying in this morning, or was it a red eye?
It was a red eye. I flew in the dead of the night and got here early in the morning.
Your energy sounds like it's covered in feces.
The show hasn't started yet.
It
Covered
has
in red
started.
eye.
It has
No,
started.
this is just our casual conversation.
No, but
Wait, are the mics on?
Yes, the mics are
gosh.
on. The mics are on.
You didn't know?
No,
You didn't know?
I thought this was just a candid conversation with you three old pals.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Because he came in on such an early flight, Amin was lamenting under his breath that he was not able to see what I believe was the sports moment of the night last night, even with the playoffs in full force in basketball and hockey. The Tom Brady roast, a televised event, an unusual event, big weekend in general for Netflix. They open with a crappy Jerry Seinfeld directed movie that is going to be popular but isn't very good. And then Cat Williams goes live. Cat Williams goes live on Saturday night. And then last night, I'm really curious what those numbers will be because I enjoyed that everyone involved allowed that night to be. I love the roast as a comedy vehicle, but there were a number of things last night, a number of jokes told that I didn't think were allowed anymore.
I was surprised, man. I'm with you. I was surprised Brady allowed people to go to certain places. It was crazy.
Dan, and you're going to have to excuse my energy. I have come in off a red-eye flight, so my energy is a little low today. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing about that roast. This is how I know it was a big deal. It wiped out Kendrick versus Drake from my timelines. It just cleared it all out. I didn't see one more Kendrick versus Drake post as soon as that roast went live. All I saw were clips in that roast. People loved it, Dan. You know why? Because they've been starving for something that feels real. You know where we're living right now, guys? Demolition Man. Jeremy, have you seen Demolition Man?
No, of course not.
Oh, man. Demolition Man, basically, real quick synopsis, the world has been cleaned up. You're not allowed to curse. You're not allowed to do any of these things. It's a utopian society. But underground, Dennis Leary, leads a pack of dirty people who eat roasted rats.
That's right.
Classic.
And that's what that roast was.
Okay, yes. I think I would agree with the idea that it was a big night for podcasters. Not a lot of mainstream media there. Not a lot of Fox, not a lot of sports radio, not a lot of ESPN.
Thank God.
Rich Eisen, I think, was the only one I saw from the mainstream, but a big night for podcasters last night and a big night for comedy. And you're right. Tom Brady did let a lot go there that I would not have been comfortable doing what Tom Brady did last night, putting all of that in public and allowing the number of my wife cheated with my jiu-jitsu instructor. My kids getting that?
Right.
My kids getting that is not something that I would want to sign up for.
But if you agree to sign up for it, you know that's coming, right? Like you have an idea of what's coming at you. I mean,
It's a roast.
It's a roast.
Yeah, but all right, let's play something here, though, that I want to show. This, to me, was the most interesting and honest moment of the night. Jeffrey Ross is the roast master, and it's basic. This is the thing that he's known for. He does a great show with David Tell, Bumpin' Mics, that I like, but this is what he does for a living. It's what he's great at it, and he's in the middle of making one of the more dangerous jokes at the expense of Robert Kraft, if not the most powerful owner in the sport, the second most powerful owner in the sport behind Jerry Jones. And what happened here, Stugotz? I know there was a discussion around here. People think this is, contrived or scripted. I don't believe this was scripted at all. And the reason I don't believe it was scripted is because the happy ending jokes and the massage jokes ended the moment a hot mic caught Tom Brady telling Jeff Ross, hey, we're not doing that around here anymore.
Said, I'm the best decision your organization has ever made. Would you like a massage? I love Robert Kraft. Okay. He's having.
Yeah, I thought that was the most honest moment of the night. And there were no more jokes at the owner's expense after that. And Robert Kraft was also given a prime spot toward the end of the roast after everybody, after Ron Burgundy, after Andrew Schultz, after Nikki Glazer crushed it. I thought she was better than anybody. Was she better than anybody? Was she the best of the night?
She was excellent. She was top 3 for sure.
She's always great.
Yeah.
So some of these are repeat offenders, Dan. If you watch the roasts, particularly the ones that Jeff Ross is involved in, they've got like a list of like murderer's row of roast comics, and she's one of them. She's excellent.
Tony Hinchcliffe.
That's a fine.
That is a fine. You're right.
Yeah.
Tony Hinchcliffe is not somebody whose work I had known very much.
Tony's excellent.
He crushed it. He was
his
great.
show, Dan, as a concept, Kill Tony, is a really impressive thing because it's basically American Idol for stand-up comedy. Like he's got comics with him on a dais. They pull names out of a hat. People go up and do a quick 60 seconds, and they riff back and forth. But I was hoping when I saw them pan over and they saw Dana with Max Holloway, with Sean O'Malley, and I saw Tony Hinchcliffe there, I was like, man, if they can do something with Tony, that would be incredible. And Tony came up, killed everybody. He did amazing.
So this is, again, I haven't watched it. How it came back to me was, Kill Tony killed it. And I was like, did they do Kill Tony at the roast? That's how I thought it happened. I didn't realize it was just Tony Hinchcliffe doing the roast on his own behalf. But no, Dan, they got a great lineup of comics there. And that's what I was most excited to see, even though I haven't seen it yet. It's just to see people who all make their bones.
He's right, though.
It's a great sentence. I'm so proud of you.
It's like LaMarcus Aldridge losing in that game, even though they won it. No, just to see these people who are all habitual line pushers when it comes to the standards of comedy. This wasn't going to be your pithy SNL monologue, Dan. This was going to be the real shit. The shit that, again, we're eating roasted rats downstairs with Dennis Leary.
Well, Kevin Hart set the tone. He did. He came on right before Jeff Ross, and he introduced Jeff Ross, and he really set the tone. And you're like, oh, my God, Brady's going to sit through an entire night of this?
Well, you
3 hours.
You haven't watched yet. 3 hours. First of all, a number of things are interesting about last night. A 3-hour television production of that size is very hard to do without hiccups. And furthermore, the amount of money spent on that evening by Netflix to fill the forum for that night, it was just impressive. The size of the spending on Netflix trying to change the way streaming is done, because these other entities are not able to do this either live or with comedy. Netflix remains ahead of the game. I told you a long time ago that Netflix, and I didn't realize this as it was happening, but they weren't here to compete against Disney or anything else at the start other than television. They wanted to replace television, and spent in a way that no one had ever seen in the history of content making, putting all of their money that they were making right back into their product. And now, as they fight a saturation and a competition that many people are noticing, that Netflix's quality of things aren't quite up. They produce a lot of things, a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff. What are you shaking?
It's always been like that. Well, you're acting like Netflix once upon a time was like HBO curated. No, they've always just been a mess of just crap, and then Ozark. Like one little thing here and there.
Throw a bunch of shit against the wall and see what
Absolutely.
sticks.
But what I'm saying, though, is it had plateaued a little bit on what it is that they could do in terms of new subscribers, which is why they're talking about commercials, which is why they're taking away shared passcodes. And their greatest evolution in the content space is supporting comedy more than any of the other streamers, and now trying to do these big, giant things. They basically, I can't believe that the Patriots signed up for this, that they allowed all of this at their expense.
Well, they didn't.
Yeah, like you want to be. This is happening. Are you going to be here or not? That's probably.
But what do you mean they didn't? They showed up and they did it together.
They didn't allow it though.
But the one time that Brady asked him to stop is when he went after Bob Kraft. I mean,
but they allowed everything else.
No, I'm saying this. This is what I'm saying, Dan. Like, I don't think it's a case of allowed. The roast was happening. Tom Brady was allowing the roast. Everybody else there was a guest, invited guest. By the way, it was part of the larger Netflix is a Joke comedy festival, which they do all week in L.A. So that's part of why it's in the forum. That's part of why there's so many people there. It's a big deal in L.A. every year. And when you say Netflix has supported comedy, I think you should talk to more comedians. Many of them exploited might be the word that they use, given what they're handing out. Yes, Chappelle gets $8 billion, but the majority of these other comics are not getting that kind of money, and they're trying to make it where it's like you have to have a Netflix special in the same way that a decade earlier it was a Comedy Central special or an HBO special. Now it's just a Netflix special, while the comedians are trying to fight for kind of, hey, I can go direct to consumer through YouTube, I can go to any other number of platforms. But that's all one thing. All I'm saying is the Patriots did not allow. The Patriots were there. The jokes were going to happen, and they did happen.
But the Patriots participated in this. I don't want to get caught up in the semantics of either that or whether Netflix is supporting comedians or comedy. That place is a place that's more receptive to what is more receptive to providing an area for comedians to do what they did last night, which is, I'm imagining, I haven't seen the social media response, but I am imagining that there's a generation of young people, not terribly familiar with the roast concept, because it's not like it's been thriving recently, and B, that they're surprised that they're watching something that had so much stereotype humor in it. Like, those are there were a great many jokes told last night that I thought would raise a quite the objection with people who like to object on the internet to that sort of thing.
Why? Like, I mean, it's a roast. Like, you know things are going to be off the handle. Like, that's always what it's been.
Understood that that's always what it's been, but I believe the relationship that everyone has with comedy now is a little bit different than it used to be. You have a whole lot of people complaining about what they can and can't say, and the roast is an artifact from another time. I wish for it to exist, but when you say why, for example, the Jews took a hit last night with some stereotype stuff that I did not think was going to be okay in 2024, given what's happening in the world. Like, I thought there would be many people complaining about some of the jokes that were being told there. If indeed people are sensitive to comedy, as everyone seems to think they are. Billy, what are you pursing your face about?
Well, I first of all, I felt like we distracted you, and I was kind of castigating Stugotz because he whispers extremely loud, and I was telling him you need to stop talking because every other microphone in the room is picking you up. I know that you're making an effort to whisper. Everyone can hear everything that you're saying.
Totally fair, yeah.
Was he making an effort?
I was making
an effort. I assumed he was, but
yes.
I don't know. And I was telling him, stop doing that. Everyone can hear you.
Top 5 roast. That's what I was doing.
I thought he was talking to me.
He is a very bad whisperer, and it makes me think of a John Hollinger report from the weekend where he reported as fact that Jimmy Butler in Miami is something that is tenuous at the moment. And the way that he reported it is by saying, hold on a second.
He can also shut up. I mean.
Oh, we would have beat the Celtics. Oh, we would have beat the Knicks. You had your shot.
Yep.
Look
how about don't make it to, how about you play during the regular season so you're not in the play-in?
How about your words mean something when you're beating Boston? Not when
Jimmy
you get
Butler
bounced
did
for the
have
first
a big
round.
win this weekend, guys.
How about you don't get hurt?
He was supporting Lando Norris at the Formula One race.
Champion.
And Lando Norris won the Miami Grand Prix, his first ever win in Formula One on the top of the podium. And Jimmy Butler was wearing a Lando McLaren shirt. We might have a video of it. I'm not sure. But it was legendary. He also had his coffee truck in the paddock, and I got to try Jimmy Butler's coffee for the first time. And let me tell you, I did not sleep last night.
Oh, wow.
I was wired.
Wow.
That is really good coffee. It's called Big Face. In my head, I kept saying Fat Face, but then I was like, no, that's Dan. So it's really, really good. Glowing endorsement. This is not an ad. I'm not being paid to say this. I'm still completely caffeinated from yesterday.
What was the sample size?
What do you mean?
What'd you drink? A 12-ounce, a little cup?
Like an espresso.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was so.
Taste?
It was so good.
Isn't it $100?
It was free for everyone in the paddock.
So it's cheap.
So.
Let's play the sound from Jimmy Butler, and I will get around at some point to finishing my point.
Oh, yeah.
I can't call you Jimmy. I'm calling you Lando, right? Why is that, Lando?
That's who I aspire to be. He's great. He's young. He's a little bit attractive. And so I think it's good to be him right now.
Lando, is this your first time at a Formula One event?
No. I've been here a couple of times. I went to Montreal. I want to go to Monaco, though, so that's the next one on my list.
You ever tried to fit in a car?
I have not. I don't think I will. And like I tell everybody, I don't like to go fast. I want to go slow. I drive like big cars, not small, fast ones.
Wow, the real Lando goes very fast.
He does, and I think that's why I think I lied to you. My name's really not Lando, it's Jimmy. So that's probably why I don't get in these cars.
I did not want not even one syllable of that particular sound. The sound that I want is the other sound where he's clearly lubed up at night. You can hear a little bit of the slur in his voice. His people have said that they don't know if this was at F1 or not. But regardless, here's the sound that was making its way around the internet this weekend.
You got it? Yep. 1, 2, 3, action. If I was playing, Boston would be at home. New York, damn sure would be home. Josh Hart. What that mean to me? Josh Hart. Yo. Come on, man. Nah. I love Tibbs, but I don't want Tibbs. I love Tibbs. I love you, baby. I want to beat you to a pulp. You want me, I don't want you. It's like a one-sided relationship. You in love with me, and I love you, but I'm not in love with you. You know what I'm saying?
That sounded sober.
What John Hollinger was reporting is, and yes, Stugotz is a very bad whisperer, but what I found funny about this report is that he's reporting increasingly loud whispers.
Oh.
That Jimmy's not happy in Miami and that Miami's not happy with him, or that the Jimmy experiment is tenuous in Miami. But increasingly loud whispers is a bullshit report. It just means that Stugotz is doing the whispering.
I was going to say, Stugotz is the source then. We figured it out.
Roasted chicken from Publix.
Ooh, it's so good.
Dan, I used to
Light roast coffee?
I used to read reports sometimes, and based on the verbiage, you could figure out who was the source, literally by the way they talk. There was one guy, I'm not going to name, but he always talked about things in terms of like a football field. Oh, it's on the 20-yard line, it's on the 10-yard line, whatever. So whenever I would see a report saying, oh, this deal is on like the 5-yard line, I'm like, That's so-and-so. And so loud whispers, I like that. That's Stugotz.
Increasingly loud whispers, which makes me feel like they're no longer whispers. Like if they're getting increasingly loud,
you're not whispering.
They stop being whispers.
I don't know how they could be whispers when there were already 2 or 3 different national reports of the same thing. So they'd already been said out loud. Now we're going back toward whispers. Increasing whispers?
We'll circle back around on where and when these things and how they leak, because they don't come from the Heat. They come from the national sources, and then it just makes me assume Daryl Morey is telling people things.
That's what he whispered in my ear.
I mean, that's what I assume.
Increasingly loud whisper, by the way.
The stuff that came out on Jimmy early was not pro Jimmy, right? It was like he wants an extension, he wants a max, and he's going to be paid like $50+ million when he's
stuff
36.
I thought that was leaked. I thought that was leaked by Jimmy. I thought that was Jimmy or his agent putting pressure
obvious, right?
at a pretty good time to leak it when your team falls apart. And last year they beat that team when he was healthy.
It seemed like a little bit of posturing between both the organization and Jimmy Butler, where those reports came out at the same time with slightly different angles through more local reporters. The national stuff, which oftentimes the Heat aren't really involved in, the local rumor mill starts. The national stuff, that tends to seem like what Dan's saying. Potentially Daryl Morey seeing a situation where, all right, a contract negotiation's going on. Let me swoop in here and just put out some feelers about whether or not Jimmy would be interested.
He wants to pay Jimmy Butler $60 million when he's 37. Be our guest. And I say our, as the city of Miami. I'm taking up for all of us.
You tell him.
Exactly right.
Was there a chance Jimmy was rooting for the Heat to lose?
That's a fair question.
Something to ponder, Tony. I mean,
Put it in.
Is it nicer to say nothing than to say someone's a little bit attractive?
Nicer? No,
just to say nothing.
A little bit attractive.
It's
a compliment.
I'd take it.
I'd take it.
I took that as the male kind of the straight male homophobic way of trying to say like he's good looking, but I can't let people think I'm. So I'm gonna say, oh, he's a little bit attractive. That's what he's doing.
I saw that Kevin Hart did that after losing the Oscar ceremony the way that he did last night. He just filed it under white guy humor because there were a lot of blowjob jokes last night. And so that's what Kevin Hart was playing with. But when we get back to what it is that happened last night, Katie Nolan is going to join us here in a little while to talk about that and Bruins Panthers, a series that begins tonight. Drew Bledsoe is going to join us later in the show. I thought he was the best of the athletes and Stugotz. I felt legitimately bad for the athletes having to follow comics in that spot.
It's a tough spot.
It's not just 20,000 people in an arena, which Belichick isn't used to doing and Bledsoe's not used to doing and Edelman and Randy Moss and Gronk aren't used to doing, but you also are public speaking in front of what you know is a live international audience. And to follow Nikki Glaser, like when you're an athlete, it's just to be Randy Moss and try to get up there. Randy Moss,
Poor Randy.
I mean,
he had no shot.
I mean, I just felt.
I picked up my phone the moment he got on. I was like,
I thought Bledsoe, did better than any of the other athletes and had to go first, which I think is a better spot to go than later once some of the comedians are killing. But all I kept saying under my breath to my wife is, oh, what a bad spot. What a bad spot for Randy Moss. And it's not just because he's following people that are funny. It's because when have you ever heard Randy Moss speak in front of a giant amount of people?
It's like following Tom Brady when he's playing quarterback. It's like being Brian Hoyer. I mean,
their writers did a great job, though, to make the athletes and Belichick seem funny in comparison to these other people where they were still getting laughs and the audience is there to laugh. So once you kind of get going, you could feel the room turning for all the athletes. But you got to give a ton of credit to those writers because it was an impossible spot for them.
By the way, the writers, including some former guests on Oddball. Jeff Ross was a writer. My guy Pat Barker was a writer. I believe there's one other comedian who was a writer who was on Oddball when we did our season preview, which you can catch on YouTube. Just in case you want to wonder what the comedians thought was going to happen at the beginning of the season.
But you don't remember his name, huh?
How did you make that so much about you and promoting you and forget a comedian's name?
Wait, watch this. I'll do it too. So I didn't get to watch that much of it because I got home really late from the race last night. But I watched maybe like the first 40 minutes. My only take about this roast, when you have an audience that big and they're clapping after every 5 freaking sentences, five words. I mean, it was too long. Yeah. Tell the audience, hold your applause, guys. You don't have to clap just because Bill Belichick breathed. You don't have to do it.
3 hours
fans.
is a long time. I imagine that Hinchcliffe and Glazer sold a lot of tickets last night to their tour. Probably you're friends with Andrew Schultz, aren't you, Amin?
I am.
His rise has been fascinating as someone who doesn't have a traditional special but can sell out Madison Square Garden because he's got such an internet following. That part is a bit of a seismic change, Stugotz, to see a dynasty that was covered by the mainstream media link up with the podcast community to create something creative outside of what we ever think of the Patriots or how they're built. Like, it's a bit shocking to see Bill Belichick do stand-up. It's a bit shocking. It's the most interesting he's been in front of cameras in 25 years.
It felt refreshing, right? Yeah. When we thought Bill wasn't going to be there, and I think I don't remember who it was that made the joke. I think it was Drew Bledsoe. He's like, "Is Bill behind me? I don't know. I can't see." Like, we didn't think Bill was going to be there, and then when he walks out to a hero's welcome, we're like, okay, like this is cool, and it kind of showed like another side to everybody, right? Like Brady, Edelman, Gronk, all the guys in the back row. Rodney Harrison looked like he was just fresh out of NBC. I was waiting for my boy to turn around and be like.
You know what's funny? We spent 20 minutes or whatever, and you guys haven't mentioned the most important thing, which is, have you seen Tom Brady's hair? Yeah. Like in that poster for the event?
It's weird.
What's happening there?
I don't know.
There's
good genes.
No, that's not good genes.
Oh,
that's not good genes. You haven't seen it? The picture that they used.
Yeah. I think his hair and face, all of them, are taken care of by all that science can offer to keep us never aging.
Science ain't offering enough. I'm looking at this picture right now. I mean, science needs to do more.
He's close to 50.
Look, Tom Cruise is what, 75?
Yeah.
Science is doing great for him. Brady, now look at that. It's like two different eyes.
The show highly questionable, who left in scandal and disgrace after it was discovered he was not indeed a Hispanic man, but rather Doug from Des Moines, a paid actor. On Monday on YouTube at 7:30 p.m., we will have an exclusive revelation from Doug from Des Moines as he gives his first interview about the show highly questionable. You may know why it was named questionable, but not until 7:30 on Monday on YouTube will you learn why it was called highly questionable.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't think we've had anyone in the history of our show, Stugotz, more affiliated with the Patriots than Katie Nolan. I know that Drew Bledsoe is going to be on with us later, but I'd like to know what it is that she thought about everything that happened last night.
What are you laughing at?
So we haven't had anyone as affiliated with the Patriots until Drew Bledsoe later
That's
on.
correct.
Katie, you got the title for the next couple hours.
She has it right now. That's right. But later, Drew Bledsoe is going to take this from her. And also, Katie, congratulations on your Bruins. Are you looking forward after last season losing to the Florida Panthers with a better team than this one and a worse Panther team than this one? Are you looking forward?
Okay. Hi.
Good morning.
Are you looking forward to this series?
No, Dan. Good morning. No. It's look, I feel like I just wanted to make sure they did not do again what they did last year. It was the absolute worst. And so they didn't, thank God. And now you like you said, Florida's better than they were last year and we are worse. So now, if anything, I just kind of hope we screw it up for you guys.
Oh, but I would say that even though Florida's better and Boston's worse, it just means that they're kind of the same this year. They've been kind of
it evens out.
They're not that the gulf has been erased and now hockey can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think the Panthers beat us in the regular season either. I think we were undefeated against them. Let's fact check that. But, it'll be interesting. We'll see.
Billy
see
is looking it up right now furiously,
Thanks,
or he's just checking Twitter and not paying attention to the executive producing of the show. One or the other, I cannot tell. What were the interesting things for you about last night? Everything that unspooled there. I didn't mention earlier, by the way, just a stunning number of Aaron Hernandez jokes that created a whole lot of groaning. That
you expected those, though, right?
I didn't expect quite the amount and quite how heavy-handed some of them were. But what were your observations, Katie?
Oh, so you already went over it and talked about what you liked. I was really interested to know how you felt about it. I liked it. I went into it kind of as a hater, expecting to dislike it just because it's a combination of two things that really mean a lot to me between, the Patriots and comedy. And so you just get a little nervous whenever I see any athlete that I've publicly supported start to tell jokes. You just get a little freaked out that it's not going to go well and you're going to have to defend them. And it didn't. The athletes were not the best part. There was some jokes that I felt like I feel like if you're a skilled comedian, you can tell them. But watching athletes trip through them, a lot of gay stuff felt like we probably didn't need from Julian Edelman, etc. But that being said, I know that they were nervous in an environment that isn't theirs and blah, blah, blah. It's a roast. Don't take it so seriously. I get all that. I don't want to hear that from anybody saying that I'm being sensitive. But I thought Kevin Hart was a great host. I didn't know that I was going to feel that way. I thought he did fantastic. He started a little slow for me, but then that's a tough job to do, and he did a great job. Am I just going to talk about it uninterrupted for 5 minutes, or should I be breaking for you to?
No, I want to hear all of your thoughts and what it is that you found.
No, you don't. I have pages. I have pages on pages of thoughts.
I want to hear them.
This is why you're on. We will stand out of the way and listen to you talk.
No, that's not a show.
We want
your talk to each other.
We want your expertise.
I have Panthers versus Bruins year by year, decade by decade, and all-time records. If you want to,
thank you.
No,
Billy.
we just need this. I just needed this season.
This season, the Bruins were 4-0. All time, they're 68, 52, and 6.
2-0-2, technically.
In the 1990s, they were 12, 13, and 3. So,
well, which is it? Is it 4-0 or 2-0-2? Which is it? Like those are two very different stats.
Who said 2-0-2?
I said 2-0-2.
Well, that's wrong.
Okay.
All right, so
why?
go sit in the penalty box.
For what?
Which part are you not understanding? You corrected Billy with the wrong information.
But I might be right.
Incorrect.
Good to see you, Stu.
I'll invite you back in. You incorrected Billy. That is correct. Who did you think did best, and did you watch it? I guess since you mentioned your fiancé, Dan Soder, did you watch it with him? Because he's watching it differently than I would think most people are because of the degree of difficulty on the expectation of funny that comedians have in that situation. I thought a couple of them rose up to it, but a couple did not.
Yeah, we watched it together. I also should say, and should have thought of this, any opinion stated here is mine and mine alone. These are my fiance's coworkers. So
no, you are but a mouthpiece.
On him. I feel like I only got booked because Dan wouldn't have been awake at 9:25. He's fast asleep in the room next to me right now. Who did I think was the best? It probably Nikki Glaser. I thought Sam J, though. Sam J was my personal favorite. I lost my mind at Sam J. She was saying things that I had no idea. Why am I getting thumbs down? What's happening?
I don't know where you're getting thumbs down. Who gave you thumbs down?
What
it's
is
a
that?
Zoom thing, Dan. It's a new feature on Zoom. For whatever reason, it adds thumbs down. We don't have
hit
it.
the thumbs down on me?
Who ordered the code red?
I was right. I'll be back.
What do you mean you were right?
2-2.
That's different information that you
2-0 and 2
before
is what he said originally.
He's still wrong.
saying
He's still wrong.
Okay.
The Bruins were 4-0 against the Panthers this year.
I don't know what he's doing, but let's play a couple of the clips from Nikki Glaser so that we're not just talking around this again and again without showing people who might have missed it because it went deep into the night.
Tom also lost $30 million in crypto. Tom, how did you fall for that? I mean, even Gronk was like, me know that not real money. Like.
She's excellent, man.
Do you guys?
No, my favorite was when she said, Bert Kreischer's here. I'm such a big fan of your joke.
Let's play.
It's like shirts go on. He takes his off. It's crazy.
Let's play
Sorry.
another. That's okay. Nikki Glaser clip, please. Okay, never mind.
We had the one clip, Dan.
Of somebody's phone pointed at their TV.
Yes, let's go to Tony Hinchcliffe here because he also stole the proceedings here. Although Sam, you're right about Sam. Let's see what we've got here on Tony Hinchcliffe.
Clearly, your ex-wife takes after you. I hear she's out there draining balls right now. People love you, Tom. You have the same fan base as Kyle Rittenhouse. Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today. I knew you were here when we were all out of chocolate milk backstage. You look like the final boss in George Floyd, the video game.
Listen. Let me just say, Tony Hinchcliffe killed. Am I a fan? I would say, if I had to be honest, gun to my head, no. But he did kill last night. But those little things that he does that I'm like, you didn't need to. Why a George Floyd reference there? That's not the funniest possible way to use a very charged topic. So that's the things he does that bothers me. But that's my personal opinion how I feel.
Right. It's just yours. It's the
just
exclusive domain
mine
of
alone.
Katie Nolan. Let me hear another Hinchcliffe clip, please.
Tom is afraid of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
We couldn't have picked a different clip than that one.
Like these, you are ending perfectly on the ones that I'm like, funny though. He's, just had a million jokes. Also, I think the reason he was there is so they had an excuse to only let Dana White talk for 60 seconds.
Did you have any thoughts on Tom Brady whispering to Jeff Ross, "Hey, we're not making any more of those jokes at the expense of Bob Kraft"?
I think it was a bit. I don't know for sure, not confirmed, but I feel like it was scripted. It felt like on purpose.
The reason I didn't think it was is because there was nary another joke made on that subject the rest of the night. Unless you think
that is true.
Unless you think they were going to address it the one time and that's how they were going to nip any of the other comedians from doing it by saying, "Hey, we addressed it and then we let it go."
Well, I noticed a lot of things that should have come up didn't come up, and so it is entirely possible that people had a list of stuff that you weren't allowed to tell jokes about.
Katie, what were you expecting to come up that didn't come up?
I don't know. There's just stuff about Jeff Ross I think we all know. And one person mentioned it. That I think if you're calling yourself a Roastmaster General, we should be able to make fun of you for your life and the things that have happened in it.
Have you ever seen Belichick in that light?
No. I was proud. I was like watching. I was nervous. I was like, every joke he told, I was like, okay, good, okay, Bill. And then there was some that I was like, oh God, okay, all right, Bill. Like he stumbled over the delivery of that Apple TV joke, but I got the vision. I liked it. I thought it was funny what he said, but it was funny watching him get a little nervous. He was clearly nervous on that Alex Guerrero joke, because when he was like, it's hard to butt heads with Tom because his head is so far up Alex Guerrero's ass. To the point where Dan was sitting next to me and he was like, whose ass? And I was like, ooh, it's oh, can I say ass?
Yes. I think Alex Guerrero should have been on the dais.
I think he couldn't have been, because people would have just picked him apart. He did a good job of pretending to find it funny, but it's like, okay, buddy, you're overselling. You can't find it this funny, because then you wouldn't be the way that you are.
There was a lot of shots of Alex Guerrero. My wife's like, why do they keep showing this guy? And I'm like, it's a long story. He's like a doctor, but he's not a doctor, but like Brady's doctor. And she's like, oh, that guy.
Surely, Katie, you winced at the number of jokes that Tom Brady had to endure at the expense of his marriage and the reports that his wife cheated on him with a jiu-jitsu instructor.
Yeah, I probably it also felt like, I mean, they have to. If you're getting roasted, it's very public. My favorite was when Kevin said, when you have the chance to go 8 and 9 and lose your whole family, of course you have to, at the expense of your whole family, of course you have to do it. It was funny. It had to come up. Otherwise, what are they gonna make fun of you for? Being great? Like, that was my fear going into this, is that everybody was gonna be afraid to actually say anything actually critically funny about Tom Brady. Not enough jokes made at the expense of his fake hair, I think. But there were a couple. Yeah, but it's like, you paid for it. Let's talk about it, because it's a lot.
And it's not well done.
That's
a shocking thing.
I never notice. I never notice. I just never notice this kind of stuff. So I'll take your word for it. Men, you guys are so good at like calling each other out on your hair. I don't know what it is, but you love to do it.
Well, because we can't see each other's dicks.
Ah, okay,
right,
sick.
Good joke.
That's another thing. Another thing that came up way too much last night. Do you not agree that there was way too much like, yeah, I sucked his dick, and like, yeah, oh, dicks, and we looked at each other's, and he's gay for him, and they're gay. And you're just like, okay, football players, we get it. It's the same joke, and you've told it now 50 different times. A little nuance would not kill you.
That is correct, but we're talking about Gronk.
Gronk.
I mean, like, there were so many jokes made about him just being an idiot. Like, just an unrelenting number of jokes that Gronk is a dope and a fool.
I think the most cathartic was when Bill Belichick was like, I'm known for telling people to do their jobs, but Gronk, I've been watching you on the pregame, and I have to tell you, please stop doing your job. It was perfect. I loved that. Who
did you feel bad for? I felt bad for Ben Affleck. He walked off the stage.
Okay, can I ask? How come in sports TV we never get good Affleck? Anytime he does anything in sports TV, we get, is he on drugs? Affleck. He never is alleged. I didn't say anything. Allegedly. I asked.
Hold on a second.
There's a question mark.
Hold on a second.
There's a question mark.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I don't know for sure. And just like I'm bad at telling if somebody has fake hair, I'm bad at telling if somebody's on drugs. But he did give the energy of like when you kind of get stuck talking to a guy like late at a wedding, and you don't realize until you get too into the conversation that like, oh, this guy's on coke, and I have to stay here and finish this conversation. That if I had all the information, I never would have put myself in this position. So again, I don't know about what's up with Ben Affleck. But I do know that I'm between that and remember when he was on Bill Simmons' show, wasn't he his first guest on his show? And we were all like, what is this? Ben Affleck, I come on, babe, step up.
I have a theory that he just doesn't want to be there.
Okay, then stop coming. How about that? What if you stopped coming to it then? You're at the Tom Brady roast. You're like the representative of a fan.
He's dead inside.
like, why was he coming at some random ghost? I don't even know. Was that Twitter person real? I doubt it. I doubt he was talking to an actual real Twitter person who tweeted at Tom Brady. So I don't know. It wasn't for me. I felt bad for Kim Kardashian for a second, question mark. Just because to be booed just for being there is brutal. That's a tough, to then have to deliver the jokes that somebody very funny wrote for you is an uphill battle. And she did it. And was she great? I don't know. But
it sounds like you know. It sounds like.
But she did it. Here's the thing, Dan. She did it. And then later, when a joke was made, a joke by Tom Brady mentioning the thing that I think we all fear for Kim Kardashian, saying that she was afraid to be here tonight, not because of the jokes, but because that means she left her kids at home alone with their dad. She had a good sense of humor about it. She laughed. So, like, I get it. People don't want to see her. But I just, come on. It's almost like it's hack to hate Kim Kardashian loudly at this point, isn't it? You can hate her. You can have disdain for her. You can have serious criticisms of her. But to just be like, boo, it's like, all right, just let her say her thing.
Just to put a bow on the whole Stugotz thing, these are the results of the 4 games that the Panthers and Bruins played. Bruins 3, Panthers 2. That's the first game. Second game was Bruins 3, Panthers 1. The third game was Bruins 4, Panthers 3. The fourth game was Bruins 3, Panthers 2.
How many in overtime?
That's not how you look at the standings.
What?
Though. I don't
does
think
that
you don't,
matter
you don't know
at
how,
all?
You don't know how to read the standings, Stugotz. Like
a win in overtime is different than a win in regular time. A win in overtime means the other team still gets a point. It's like a half a win.
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
You get the win,
that means
though.
nothing.
You get the
There
win.
is overtime in the playoffs.
Why does he keep
It's not like we don't get
Does
to
he
do
just
that.
not want to work today?
He said
I think he doesn't want to be here.
Katie, he's like Ben Affleck. Yeah. Ben Affleck, incidentally, to Katie's point, though, he beelined off the stage, didn't say goodbye to anybody, didn't hug Tom, didn't say thank you, just went straight to the airport as if he was late for a flight, like didn't talk to anybody, just got off the stage, wasn't any good at any of the jokes, and then fled the premises. Katie, always lovely seeing you. Thank you for making the time for us.
Oh, I have 9,000 other things to say. I'll go say them to Dan. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Here, give me all of them. Yes. I want all of them.
Shut up. I was joking. You have a live TV show.
Guess what?
Go away.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now.
That's what we're doing right now.
We're calling you on
We're
your
supposed to break, but we're giving you the space. We're giving you the space to give us all of the stuff that you're gonna like. As soon as we hang up with you, as soon as we get out of here, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I should have said this."
I mean, I will scroll through these notes. The funniest thing about Bert and Tom's set was seeing that everybody else used it as a chance to go to the bathroom. The way they set up that shot so that you could see, you saw Andrew Schultz like in the wings trying to get back to his seat, and he couldn't because then people would know that he got up to pee during Bert and Tom.
Tough spot for them.
I did the dishes. Yeah, I didn't. Were they funny? I didn't watch them.
They weren't funny, but
really.
it's a tough spot. You're reading the the teleprompter, and you're going back and forth. Tough spot for them.
Well, how's that a tough spot? Do it alone then. You're both stand-up comedians.
I agree.
Do it alone.
That was my one
You do not
criticism.
have to do it as the two of you. I don't know when that became. I don't feel that they make each other better per se. You have a podcast together that's very successful. Congratulations. Oh, you make a booze together also. Successful. Congratulations. But like, go do your separate stuff because they're very different comedians. And so making them do a thing together didn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, I didn't watch it, so maybe they were great. Sam J, why aren't you guys talking more about Sam J?
She was
Sam
spectacular.
J
she was great.
So funny. Sam J to Drew Bledsoe, I was hiding behind my pillow when she was explaining to him what a loser he is, when she said that he's been cucked by Brady his entire life. And then he said to Brady, just fuck his wife and get it over with. That's wild.
Yes.
That's wild.
Shout out Flatbush Misdemeanors.
We are going to play that for Drew Bledsoe later. See how that
Thank
one.
you. My God. Oh, tell him he was such a good sport. But also ask him if he needed a sip of water when he came out, because it was all I noticed. And maybe it's because I have a mom who smokes weed, and I'm not alleging that that's what he was doing at all.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on.
I'm
Time to throw
truly
away all
not.
journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I'm truly not saying because I don't think he smokes weed, but I could just tell. He just had dry mouth. You know, having a conversation with somebody and they're like,
but he was
he
was drinking a ton of wine. He had to be scared. How can you not be
terrified?
Scared in that
I
spot?
couldn't believe he came. He started also the cold open. I would never have said yes to that. Acting brutal, but like
Wow.
I mean, Belichick's acting was
all of them.
so
Oh,
bad.
I meant all of them. That whole cold open, I was like, that made me so nervous for the rest of the roast. When I saw the cold open, I was like, it's going to be a long night, which to be clear, it was a long night. This was fun, but it was too long. There was too much, and I needed to be a lot shorter because it ended up taking my entire night. And I'm not being paid to be here as far as I'm aware.
Too much clapping, right, Katie?
It was just, it was a lot. Yeah, but they really did. The audience was either being piped in or very into it and very loud. They reacted really well. Other Sam J joke, which may have been the joke of the night, was when she told Bledsoe that the only ring he has is the one Tom won for him. So just like her strap on, just because you wear it doesn't make it real.
Amazing.
And then, by the way, Kevin Hart got up and started saying what he thought Sam J's boyfriend might look like, and I was like, Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin.
I don't know what was the best joke of the night if you guys had to select one, but Schultz saying to Dana White of the Gisele Bündchen divorce that he recognizes, what it's like to steal half the purse of a Brazilian.
Chef's kiss. Excellent.
That's on a cross-country flight, by the way. He did MSG Saturday night and flew Sunday all the way over to LA to do that.
He's got a great face for comedy. Great face for comedy.
I mean, that haircut's got to go. I know he does it so people will mention it, but I hate it. It's brutal. It's just like, we don't need it. Just be funny.
But he does look like he's out of the 1930s, a black and white railroad.
Yes.
The guy who strapped someone to a railroad.
It's like a mixture of like Peaky
dastardly.
Blinders and Proud Boys.
Yeah, in all the worst ways, in all the wrong and bad ways. I will say, though, let's give credit where it's due. He's the only one who made a Jeff Ross joke. He said that he reminds him of the guy from the Operation game because when kids touch him, he lights up.
What else? What else do you have in your notes that we need that we need to get to? Because I want you to empty the clip.
How did you guys feel about Peyton Manning?
I didn't see Peyton Manning. When was Peyton Manning? I must have been away from the television.
The fourth time they brought somebody else off backstage. He
was like the special guest.
I missed Peyton. Was that toward the end?
It was the last. It was the right before Tom. He introduced Tom. So he was right before Tom.
He was all right.
He was okay. I didn't need it. I didn't.
Well, Katie, breaking news. Eli Manning tweeted just now, I thought about attending the roast of Tom Brady last night, but I did not want to roast him for a third time.
Ooh, boom!
I mean,
joke
really?
of the night.
Ooh,
boom roasted.
Real? Yeah.
Yes, that's right, Katie.
By the way, Jess, breaking news. Hi, good to see you.
Hey, long time no see.
I know. I love you. Hope you're doing well.
I thought there were a lot of.
Let them do pleasantries more. That's good TV.
I thought that there were
Is
a lot
that
of.
who my thumbs up's coming from? Now I like it.
I thought there were a lot of people who didn't know on the dais who Ron Burgundy was, and how confusing that must be to not know who that character is, and then see that guy doing that. Like,
if you had told me at the beginning of the night that I wouldn't have minded the Ron Burgundy part, I would have been surprised because I'd be like, okay, Ron Burgundy in a roast, we get it, we've done this, but. He was actually pretty funny. When he made the whole crowd chant that Eli Manning made Tom Brady his bitch, it was funny. Because when he made it sound like he was going to make everybody do it again, it was funny. He was pretty funny. It was I thought it was a good bit.
We have less than 50 seconds left. 50 seconds. So you've got to give us the best of what you've got here. You've got a lot of pressure.
Oh my
it's
God.
It's okay,
I'm
but now you have now 30 seconds. Wow. You are
okay.
When
Sam J said if you pull yourself out of your misery, if you put yourself out of your misery tonight, we'd all understand. But you just want you to know you'd still be the second best Patriot to ever do that.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
A lot of Aaron Hernandez jokes.
Very funny. Yeah.
10 seconds.
Belichick was funny. Oh, come on. There's too much.
5 seconds.
Dana White bombed. Dana White bombed. Dana White bombed. Jokes. All bad. Nobody laughed. Dana White bombed. Okay, bye. I'll text you the rest.
Hello, this is Dan Le Batard, and I have been granted exclusive access to the home of Doug from Des Moines, a man formerly known as Poppy on the show Highly Questionable, who left in scandal and disgrace after it was discovered he was not indeed a Hispanic man, but rather Doug from Des Moines, a paid actor. On Monday on YouTube at 7:30 p.m., we will have an exclusive revelation from Doug from Des Moines as he gives his first interview about the show Highly Questionable. You may know why it was named Questionable, but not until 7:30 on Monday on YouTube will you learn why it was called Highly Questionable.
What the hell are you talking about?
We'll get to some of the local stuff in a second, but we miss Katie Nolan, and we do not and have not seen her enough recently. And she's got more thoughts, and she's got nowhere to put them that won't be Dan Soder's ear. So we have them. We have her here.
This whole time I've been waiting for Soder to walk in through the background, scratching his ass.
And he's not going to be awake for another 2 hours.
Good sleeper.
Drinking
Nice.
milk straight out the carton.
I envy that sleep. What else do you have for us from last night? Because it sounds like you were delighted, and I will tell you and the audience that I was very pleased that everyone just tried all of that. That franchise, which has been starched and stiff and secretive and more interesting in scandal than it is in front of microphones showing you personality. It was just good to see that franchise be interesting for something other than winning and being respected and being hated for how some of the winning happened.
Yeah, I agree. I thought everybody had such a good sense of humor. I'll also say, because I feel like I've now taken over your show to talk about just a thing I loved. The first time I did your show, I didn't say a word, so I feel like I've earned this.
Yes,
now I can
agreed.
talk as many words as I
Agreed.
want on the show, because the first time I just sat there
Yeah.
and listened to
Took
music.
a minute, yeah.
Bob Kraft. No, not enough applause in this room for Bob Kraft. He was funny. He was funny and he was charming. When he said to Putin, "Give me my effing ring back," that was fantastic.
I thought that he was somebody who was treated with a little bit too much deference, except for when they told him that they'd all be gathered again for his funeral.
Which, again, the delivery of Julian could have used a soft touch, but instead he was like, figured I'd see you all at his funeral.
Well, he's not a comedian.
Well,
I know.
He's a slot receiver.
I don't think of Edelman having a soft touch with his speech. That's not one of the talents in his toolbox.
Rodney Harrison, did anybody look more like they didn't want to be there by the time we hit the 2-hour mark? He was just like not into it. And I get it, because having to sit there and watch that whole thing, it was so long. If I had to be watched while I was sitting watching it, I'd be exhausted.
You're supposed to get loaded, right? And just make side jokes with the people on the panel. That's how you do it.
Yeah, but they had too many athletes up there to do that.
Oh.
Like, I get why they had the athletes up there. I was happy that like Nate Solder was up there for when Belichick was going, so that he could roast them in a way that was very funny, because we don't really talk about players in those positions. But for like a dais, it was too many athletes. That's like class, it felt like, for them. They had to sit through class.
The only person who looked more upset to be there than Rodney Harrison was Belichick during the portion where Kevin Hart made him take a shot with Bob Kraft, because he looked like he wanted to kill someone.
And I think when I was like, hey, I really love Kevin Hart hosting this, because I thought he was sweet. I thought he was just like, hey, I noticed you guys are really far apart from each other. Why don't we get a little closer, do a shot? And that had already come after the shot between, what was the first one? It was Tom and Gronk. Gronk, who spiked a glass shot
the
glass
shards went
on
everywhere.
A stage where the tables were right there. Yeah. It was like the dumbest thing. And then to hear Kevin Hart go, yeah, no, we'll clean it up, Gronk. It's okay. While we're talking about this, one of the funniest moments was when Kevin Hart said, it's crazy you guys let him come up here by himself. Good job, Gronk. You're doing good, Gronk. He had to like talk to him like a child, because Gronk at one point was supposed to pull out those shot glasses, and there was a different prop that was there for later in the night, and he took that out, and Kevin had to get on the mic from the dais and be like, no, not that. Put that down, Gronk. Okay, take out the other. Him being dumb was just a very, very funny recurring beat of the night.
There was
Stu,
that.
did you watch it? Did you like it? Sorry, Jess, I want you to talk.
Good.
Never mind.
I did. I said, yeah, go, Jess, go ahead. You answer her question.
I want to hear what you have to say first.
Well, I was going to say, I did watch it. I watched like the first 40 minutes, and I thought Kevin Hart was great because he really set the tone. He let you know right away that there is nothing, except for Bob Kraft and massages, there is nothing here that we're not going to go after. There is no one here we're not going to go after. And for that reason, I thought it was great. And I also saw Tom Brady, and I'm with Dan on this, the fact that that organization allowed themselves to be open to doing this and laugh at themselves, I thought was very refreshing and a good look for every single person involved.
Yeah, I thought that it was fun when Jeff Ross had to explain the forum is how Gronk counts to 4 or not counts to 5 joke or whatever it was afterwards. Katie, do you feel like they were all really hungry? Like they were sitting up there for 3 hours. Yeah. They probably had to put on their nice suits like an hour beforehand, do hair and makeup. They probably hadn't eaten in hours. I would have been so hungry. I would have been hangry, although most of them probably also on Ozempic, so maybe appetite suppressed. But I just got a sense that Rodney Harrison at the end maybe was just a little hangry.
Yeah, especially the athletes. I feel like there's no way they're usually going that many hours without at least a bar or a handful of a trail mix of some kind. It was
had bowls
too long.
Of protein bars, yes.
Yeah, you got to feed them.
What else? We've got to get out of here, Katie. So
no, you don't. There's so much.
You still
There's
have
so
more.
Just 8,000 to go.
You still have.
I'm surprised you guys didn't want to entirely focus on the fact that when Brady was like, if you just gave the, what was it, 20 million or whatever to me, I would just admit that I deflated the balls. You didn't
20 million.
I figured that would be the whole focus of your show, would be that he admitted it, and then you'd like harp on that for a long time. Is that not?
That we did not do that. We didn't mention it. The 20 million spent on the investigation to try and catch them. He was saying if you just handed that money over to me, I just would have admitted to doing it, and we could have been done with the whole thing. I think in the context of a bunch of joke making, though, I don't think that would have stuck as news. Tom Brady admits to cheating.
We all knew it.
No news.
Haha. Well, okay. How about when Tom Brady, funniest man alive, said he asked Bills fans how they're a mafia when they have no ring to kiss.
Ooh, got him.
Right. It was so starch and just Sadly
well,
delivered.
but this is the
poorly delivered. He was he was like a robot.
It was
telling jokes.
terrible.
Oh, which reminds me of another Sam
He
J
is a
joke
robot.
that we haven't even talked about. When Sam J said that she was afraid of AI taking jobs, but Bert Kreischer proved that a machine can't write a good script.
Tom Brady's gonna be a robot because he's a robot, and that's like, again, we can critique all of this, and one of the things that Tom Brady fancies himself is someone who mocks the critic because he's the man in the arena, and he. Of course, we're going to watch what he does and critique it, but it's almost something that he can't be good at. The expectation of funny in that circumstance, speaking to people, is such a hard ask for anyone who's not a comedian that, of course, he's going to blow the lines and not deliver stuff the way that a comedian would deliver it.
Okay, but Colts are just Broncos who don't fuck.
It's such. You remember when Tom Brady was like, "Guys, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian." Everybody's like, "Wait, what? Are you serious?" He's like, "Don't worry about the $375 million. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to be a stand-up comedian." We were like, "There's no way he's good at that, right?"
Yeah,
right?
No, he's not. I didn't come away from this being like, "Oh my God, so personable." I was like, "Oh, he could take a joke and he'll tell a joke." His whole thing was weird. I feel like it was kind of one longer scripted bit of him like bloviating and talking about how great he was. I thought parts of it worked, but overall I just would have rather he told jokes instead of giving a whole big speech. We get it, you are great, but I don't need Tom Brady to tell me that he's great. That's why we're here. Like when he said I think he said to Belichick, like when somebody wins the Indy 500, I'm not like who put the gas in your car. Trying to say that that's all that Belichick had to. I don't know. I know it's a complicated relationship, but I was just like, meh.
Tony, you think when Brady's working to be a stand-up comedian that any stand-up comedian has that as the opening gig as opposed to workshopping your stuff in
he's
a
at
club?
the cellar. He's doing.
You're saying give him time.
He's trying to work it out. I get that.
I'm saying you don't start.
Give me a few sets.
You don't start there. You start with 16 people and some friends and family at 1 a.m. when the kitchen is being cleaned up.
Even that is nerve-wracking.
At the
But you're still Tom Brady. Here's the thing: if you're Tom Brady going to do stand-up comedy, you're never going to be able to just go to where you're not Tom Brady. You're always going to be Tom Brady. So he's never going to have a smaller stage, which is part of why it's insane to say you're going to do stand-up comedy. Because once you reach a certain level of fame, you can't get honest feedback, and that's how you get to be a good comedian.
It's like T.I. T.I. thought he was going to be a comedian,
that's
and
nuts.
someone had to tell him, like, yo, you're
not that funny.
Yeah, you're not funny.
Who had to tell him, though? Who told him?
Someone who's not with us anymore, I believe.
Katie, good seeing you. Thank you for being on with us. We like seeing you around here, so stop by more often.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but you also keep asking me to leave. It was good to see you, too. I hope you guys have a fantastic show. I love you so much.
Bye.
Likewise.
Bye. Bye, Jess.
More pleasantries.
It took too long to get to this, but Billy, speaking of weekend comedy, your Marlins trading a two-time batting champion and paying the entirety of his salary.
They got a guy that's projected to be a fourth outfielder.
There's only 3, Dan.
By the way, Dan.
It's not softball.
Hey.
I know you were wondering. WFAT live stream tonight, huh? WFAT is presented by 1-800-Flowers. Save up to 40% off Mother's Day best sellers at 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
He's their only all-star. He's the one hitter that you trust. Again,
no, they have Sandy, but he's injured.
The one hitter that you trust.
Yes.
Oh, you mean as an all-star?
Yeah. And they'll have a new one this year. Every team gets one. That's the beauty of the all-star game.
But they are one of the worst teams in baseball. It is crazy to say that 7 months ago they had the manager of the year and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they got, lucky in one-run games. They had a disproportionate number of victories in very close games last year. So they were a playoff team, and they earned it. But
I'd argue they were unlucky in games that they were outscored by 15 runs last season.
Fair enough, but the whole thing
They
is
didn't win any of those.
Falling apart, and now you're trading the one excellent player that you just got, that you had at reasonable value, and I wonder how you feel about that as a team, as a fan of that team.
It didn't feel great. I was at Highlight when I found out the news, so I had to kind of stop paying attention to Highlight. We'll get to Highlight later, Dan. But yeah, I was watching the situation unfold. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not sure Peter Bendix knows what he's doing.
Hmm.
That seems to be.
What do you mean?
He's lost a lot of fans here lately. Peter Bendix, the general manager who replaced Kim.
You got to
Ng.
get something for Soler, but
Well, here's the thing that confuses me about this move in particular is why do you do it May 3rd or May 4th? Like, I don't understand that. They could have done it in the offseason. It almost seems like they decided, let's have them lose, and then we can justify a fire sale.
Well,
I'm
you
not
see
saying
what kind
that's
of
what they
start
did.
you get off to, don't you? And then you
Yeah,
go
but
from
wait
there.
until the deadline when
Right.
people are desperate and they'll give you more, because this didn't seem like a great haul. Some people have said this is a great haul. Other people have said like, you can maybe a fourth outfielder.
they didn't get a top 100 prospect.
No.
The national reports have suggested that they tried to shop Arias in the offseason. There wasn't much of a market for it. They were afraid to wait until the deadline. And so this was why, with a trade of such value, they wanted to get it done now. But if you're a fan, it's understandably disappointing.
To see the Marlins be sellers as April ends, like
Sellers in May. Sad.
I mean,
that is.
Here's the thing.
And you're paying for a guy. He's getting 4 hits for another team. I mean,
Nostalgia a little bit.
Can I just look? Here's the thing. If you are the general manager of the team, president, baseball operations, whatever the title, right? And you're here, and you're apparently the one that's going to be the person that speaks on behalf of the team. Don't say on May 3rd, it didn't seem like we were going to make the playoffs. Even though, like, everybody knows, you can't pull the plug on May 3rd and trade your best player and be like, it didn't seem like we're going to go.
How many months ago were they in the playoffs with the manager of the year? Was it 7 months, 6, 5? Like, how many months ago was that?
I don't know, October, November.
they're 15 out. I mean,
it's early. 162.
Yeah, I mean, the
Good bounce
disappointing
back win yesterday, I'll say that.
Yeah, they won 12-3. How about that?
After losing 20-4, so still negative run differential. But
They're worse than the A's.
The extremely
the
disappointing
A's are
part
good. The A's are good this year.
The A's are good.
They're
that
better. They're not good. They're better.
They were
bees.
supposed to have this year be sort of a tweener year, right? Like all of
We've got a fun hockey game tonight, and I, Stugotz, can't believe that I'm looking at ESPN. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. More than 20 people are picking games here for ESPN.
Right.
And I'm going to say 22 of 23 people have picked the Panthers to beat the Bruins, and only Steve Levy picks the Bruins to win in 7.
It's the only one that counts, though.
Yeah, who else is picking?
Mark Messier doesn't count.
The Messiah.
PK Subban doesn't count. Bob Wischusen doesn't count. Hillary Knight doesn't count. Linda Cohn doesn't count.
I'm going to say Bob Wischusen does not count.
Buccigross doesn't count. I mean, that's a lot of people who are picking the Panthers tonight, and I am a little bit startled to find myself, after many years covering this franchise, to see this in the playoffs against the Boston Bruins team that last year, at least when I saw it, was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in the regular season in
The
hockey.
Panthers had 110 points this season. The Bruins had 109. Like, they're really good. Having 22 of 23 picking the Panthers, that's crazy. That's insane. They have expectations now. This team has expectations. I guess that's a good thing.
Dan, I'm worried that you may get too invested in this, and what I need to do is that I need to invite you to where Tony and I are, and you need to not care about this until you get to the Stanley Cup final. Right. That's what you got to do. You got to one-up what you did last year. Don't ride the highs and the lows, the emotional roller coaster. It's going to be too much for you at this point. You don't need this. Focus your energy on other things.
The Marlins.
Focus your energy on other things. Don't do that right now. Get to the Panthers when you need to get to the Panthers, and right now, you don't need to get to the Panthers.
You're keeping an eye on them.
Exactly.
They're in the back. They're right there. You can see them in the mirror. You're like, all right, I know you're there. I'll get to you when we get to you. We got other things important now.
You toss one
but later.
Was that icing? And then you just keep it moving. Yeah. That's all you got to do right now.
Now, when do you get to them?
Stanley Cup final. Yeah.
Playing for a championship.
That's where they were last year.
What if they're down 0-2 to the Bruins? Let's just...
No, that's...
No.
Then you
don't start paying attention?
With two home losses?
No. What?
With 2 home losses is what he's got him starting 0-2. I don't think, Billy, that you're being fair, sane, or reasonable. They're the thing going on locally. They're
the only thing.
There's nothing else playing with stakes locally, unless you count Jessica's foray into the tempest that was F1 this weekend.
How come you didn't go, Dan? I heard you had a pass and you just didn't want to go.
It's right there.
This is the look at me, Louie, in the physical flesh, ladies and gentlemen.
What do you mean?
Waste of a pass.
What do you mean it's look at me, Louie?
Why do you have this with you?
It just stayed here all weekend. It was here all weekend.
Scared
right
that
there.
you wouldn't know what to wear again, and that like we were gonna make fun of you.
I didn't want to deal with the
understand if that
traffic,
was why.
although the temperature down here was so much better this year than it was the last time.
No, it was horrible.
I'm not saying it was
so
good.
hot.
I'm just saying better than last year. Still hotter than the surface of the sun, somewhere around the bowels of hell, but better than last year.
Fair. The traffic was a nightmare, and as I said on Mystery Crate last week, I was dreading going to the race all weekend because I knew I would probably spend like 10 hours in traffic, which I did. But shout out to my Uber driver, Matt Kugler, for taking me both ways all weekend.
Wait a second.
What?
You
What
didn't
a
get out of
coincidence.
You didn't drive?
Yeah.
No,
the whole
we
point
only
was
had
you were
one,
supposed to drive.
We only had one pass, so we had to carpool together. And you'd think, oh, maybe they're limiting passes so there won't be a billion cars on the road. No, there were.
I'm going to go out and say it. If you didn't drive, you're not allowed to complain about traffic.
What?
You got to sit on your phone. You could have fiddled
Totally
with the radio.
movie. You're not dealing with it.
You're not dealing with traffic. Is only bad when you're the one driving.
That's absurd.
He's right about that.
Not absurd.
Put it on the poll, Juju, please. If you didn't drive, are you allowed to complain about traffic? Jessica, what were the highlights from the weekend? You appear to be, from what I can gather around here, you seem to be in the minority position of everyone is less interested here in F1. And this weekend, it didn't quite feel to everyone here the way that it did last year when it was novel and new.
Well, I mean, it felt pretty exciting at the track. It was a sellout. There were, hundreds of thousands of people there all weekend. It's not for everyone. You don't have to like it. That's okay. But it was a big event for Miami. It was the third year that they've done it. They have a contract, I think, for 7 more years. And every year, I think the event has gotten better. I think my only complaint really is getting to and from Hard Rock, which I've heard also sucks for Dolphins games. Yeah. Probably is a little worse for F1 because there's more parking lots being used for the actual race, so it's harder to get around there. But I thought it was a great event. I had a ton of fun. My week actually started on Thursday. I was doing this motorsport.com panel with a bunch of Formula One podcasters. So we had on two of my favorite people from my favorite F1 podcast. Missed Apex came on. 2 women that host a podcast called 2 Girls, 1 Formula came on. Alanis King from motorsport.com. I thought you guys would have more of a laugh for 2 Girls, 1 Formula, but I guess not.
No, well, I got uncomfortable, 2 Girls, 1 Formula. I was surprised that was a name. I just remember they did this to me live on air on a Sunday morning during the fake pregame show. I was shown 2 Girls, 1 Cup without knowing what it was.
I'm not familiar with that reference.
That to you.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that?
Huh? What?
Moving on.
So I had a really great time. I met a lot of other faces in F1 media. It's always interesting going to a international event like this, and people kind of treat me like I'm an alien because we cover American sports. We cover basketball and football and all these things, and the motorsport world is really everyone kind of is in that world. They're very dedicated to motorsport. So it's funny. They're like, wow, you cover all the, one of the British media people was like, you do sports ball. What is that like?
Jessica, I was waiting for you to come with you cover the American sports. It's very cute how you chase a ball and put it in a basket.
It is funny though, because there's it truly is such an international sport, and they're all inside. The Team Villages is inside Hard Rock Stadium, and there's a huge Miami Dolphins logo in the middle of the field, and I'm like, how many of these people know what this logo is and what this league is?
What is this?
It's so funny,
fish?
But I had a really good time, and I think that the event was pretty awesome this year. Ended up being probably the best race of the season so far, which was a bit of a surprise because we had Lando Norris on the show last year ahead of the U.S. Grand Prix, and he said that Miami's actually not his favorite track, and a lot of drivers have said this. It's a little bit of a boring track. It's not very exciting. There's not a lot of passing, but as it turns out, this year, Lando Norris won the Miami
Mr.
Grand
Baby
Prix.
won, Dan.
His first Formula One race ever.
It's about
was
time.
A long
It's crazy how he
coming.
still has a job and he's never won a race. I tried. I tried to give F1 a chance.
Mr. Baby has never won.
Never
and then
won.
won now.
Yeah, after crapping on Miami.
Go figure.
Yeah.
He didn't crap on it. He just said it wasn't his. He said Lando. He said it wasn't his favorite.
Yeah.
But I think he'll probably change his mind now because this was a monumental moment for him and for his career. I mean, he joined F1 in 2019. He's been on the podium 15 times. He's a phenomenal driver. But the McLaren car has not been very fast until this weekend. They finally put in an upgrade and had some pace and were able to stave off the Red Bull. And now I'm spoiling my F1 minute, so I really should stop while I'm ahead.
That wasn't it?
I tried this weekend.
No, you didn't. You did not try.
I did. I watched it.
You did not try.
I tried. I tried to watch it. I didn't watch the Netflix show. I feel like that's what's missing is I didn't watch the Netflix show, so I didn't really care. F1, we did this thing on Mystery Crate, Dan, where Tony has a list of things that are not for him.
It's a list that are for other people.
Yeah.
It's like things that I like for other people, but not for me.
Yeah.
I can go through it if you want.
No, that's okay. I have one thing on the list
Mystery
right now.
Crate.
Riveting. A list of things you don't
If you want that list, Mystery Crate is where you need to go to get
things
that
that are for
list.
other people.
Yeah, F1 I think is for other people. I tried. 57 laps, not enough laps. We need 200.
enough?
Not
Really?
enough. Yeah, no. NASCAR's 250 laps. 57 laps is you do that at the weekend on the go-kart. We do it here on Mario Kart on Fridays. 57
I think
is not
that's
that many.
the appeal of F1 for a lot of people. Is
No.
the race is over in 2 hours.
Yeah,
It's a sprint, yeah.
No, there
Well,
wasn't
that was on
enough
Saturday.
action. There wasn't enough things going on for me. It was hard to follow. You just see the team logo and then the name, but I don't know any numbers. I don't know who I'm watching, who I'm not. I have it on mute. It's very confusing.
Yeah, probably
Just
doesn't help.
not for me.
Jessica, how hard is it for them to change the course, from year to year?
Probably pretty difficult. And they might make adjustments to the track surface. They might kind of smooth out certain corners if they're too fast, stuff like that. But
the route?
But this is a permanent track. This track is probably not going to change very much.
Put it on the poll, please. Do you find that F1 is for other people at Le Batard Show? Let's put up the menu because it is the most expensive sport. I can't even imagine.
Are you too broke, Mr. Le Batard? You cannot afford hors d'oeuvres?
Wait, is that why you didn't
What
go?
accent is this?
Look at this menu. You cannot charge me $180 for nachos.
My question for whoever took this picture is,
can.
one time I sat in, this is like a humble brag, I sat in a suite for the Miami Open at the Hard Rock, and one of the marketing people gave me their phones and was like, you order whatever you want from like the catering for the suite. And so I was able to see the prices of how much it costs to order like the giant Caesar salad for the suite. And it was like this. I was like, am I about to order like $175 Caesar salad? But it's for like 10 people.
Yeah, it's like ordering a hammer for the U.S. Army. Like they know.
Well, yeah, that too.
Exactly right.
I don't know if
Just
this was
like
like
that.
this was like prices for an entire.
No,
like,
it must
suite
be.
full
It's
of
got to
people.
be.
How many wings do you get for $190?
I better get a ton of
Not
wings.
enough.
It
for
has
me.
to be.
No, it says add 1 ounce of caviar for $400.
To any item.
To any of
Billy.
those items.
To any item, Billy. What are you not
That's a new one.
understanding?
What?
Americans are so cheap.
So Stephen Ross was
He's
just,
Anna Delvey.
he was offered $10 billion for the Dolphins and F1, and I guess 10 is doing. He's like, nah, I want my family to have that. I do not love my family enough to say no to $10 billion.
What if you already have more than that?
Hello, Tom Brady.
We will get to Jessica's F1 minute in a second. And as I mentioned, Drew Bledsoe will be around here a little bit later to talk yet more about that roast last night. I'm assuming that many people here listening are saying we've already talked about it too much, but I do like the swing that everyone took. You have to understand that I've been bored by the last 10 years of ESPYs or wherever it is that people gather for the big sports thing done differently or done well, and to see someone take a chance on something that was new, even though you can have your critiques, I just appreciated that all of it could exist. But I owe an apology to Juju and Tony, at least through one game of the Minnesota-Denver series, because I said that there is no deterring or slowing Jokic. And if you're going to do it, and I don't know if someone can do it 4 of 7 games, but if you're going to do it, Minnesota does have the ingredients. And on top of that, they have ways to bother Murray as well, that on the perimeter. Again, we're grading on a curve. These people are not largely bothered, but I'm not used to Jokic going 11 for 25. I'm used to him almost always making more shots than he misses, and Gobert can make that difficult, and then you keep throwing bodies at him. And, I mean, I believe that only Boston has a better starting five than Denver. Denver's bench is a little thin. It's a little young, but only Boston is a better starting five. But Minnesota has a group of chemicals because they're much better than they were last year when they bothered the Nuggets. Not a little bit better, much better. They had the same regular season record. And if you can do that to Jokic, you'd be the only team in the league who can do that to Jokic.
Yeah, so there's two parts of that. One is, you're right, they do have the ingredients. The ingredients are three really good starting caliber centers in Naz Reid, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert.
Naz Reid was great.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the catalyst for the second half of that game that got them the win. But I think what they did, and I want to say Kenny Smith talked about this on TNT, is they made the Joker play up-tempo, which is not what he wants to do. We always talk about this guy controls tempo and pace.
6 turnovers for him is crazy.
It's not even about the number of turnovers or the shooting percentage. It's the way he had to go about playing. Bringing the ball up against full court pressure, getting into stuff late in the clock because they had harassed him all the way up there, having to go quicker, and that's the stuff. It's because you're not going to stop him, but to make him frustrated, to make it a very uncomfortable situation for him, that was what was unique. And on the other end of the floor, Anthony Edwards was the exact opposite. Like, the Nuggets did nothing to make him uncomfortable or take him out of his element, because these stars are all going to get theirs. The idea is like, okay, how are you going to get him? And Jokic got his very raggedly, if I might say.
It feels like, too, when we were kind of scouting out this series, is like, all right, we know the pieces that Minnesota has and the one piece that Denver has that they need to stop, right? And it felt like those pieces matched up between the three centers, like you said, and Jokic. Mm-hmm. When I look the opposite side and I see, I don't know if Denver has anybody that can stop Anthony Edwards. People were telling me KCP. I was like, guys, please stop that. That's not going to happen. He's too quick for MPJ. He's too quick for Aaron Gordon. He's too big for KCP. Like, there's nobody on that team that can cover him.
Yeah, I don't think that's the strategy. I think the strategy is let him get loose, and then we're going to make sure
stop the other guys.
Yeah, what killed them wasn't Anthony Edwards had 40 whatever, and it was like, okay, we can live with this. Although I think there could have been more contest at the point of impact, right? But Conley, Naz Reid, Karl-Anthony Towns went 9 for 9 for threes or something like that in the second half. Like, they made every shot. Rudy Gobert hit like a bank shot 15-footer. Like, at some point, some of that stuff was the Nuggets got to do a better job of contesting and getting out there on shooters, and some of it was, all right, Naz Reid bank shot 3. There's nothing you can do there.
I would say, though, that if you're going to put a scare in the champions, that's the way to do it. In the very first game
1 on the road.
Well, but I'm just saying the way that it happened, where Anthony Edwards is like, I'm 22 and I'm not scared of you or this. Don't care that you're champions. And when Tony says Denver doesn't have any answers for him, no one does. There's no one who has an answer for that. But I would have made the argument on behalf of Jokic the same way. And to see him sped up was something that I haven't seen in a long time. Minnesota, as much as Minnesota bothered Denver in last year's playoffs, it didn't feel like that first game did, where Denver, I thought the Miami Heat played defense against Jokic about as well as it could be played in the finals, where you're keeping that team to around 100 points. But to do what Minnesota did, where you're making him 11 for 25 and he's getting a lot of it late, make him inefficient, what did he have? He probably didn't have 10 games this year where he missed more shots than he made.
Can we knock it off, though, with Anthony Edwards? Like, he's a great player. And
knock it off. He just got here. He's 22.
He's the best player in the league right now.
It's the Western Conference semifinals, and people are comparing him to Michael Jordan, and you're skipping right over Kobe and LeBron. Like, knock it off. He hasn't been to an NBA final. He hasn't won an NBA final. You have to get there to win one. He's in the Western Conference semifinals.
They didn't skip
Congratulations.
over.
They skipped over everyone who has a ring.
No, what's happened with Anthony Edwards is they've skipped Dwayne Wade. They've put Anthony Edwards in the Dwayne Wade class, but he has not yet People are not talking about him, Stugotz, like LeBron and Kobe.
Oh, he's got that LeBron, Kobe, Michael DNA. No, he doesn't. Stop it.
He doesn't have that DNA?
He might have it, but he doesn't yet until he wins a ring.
You mean laughing and clapping in KD's face as he's sweeping him isn't
great.
Michael DNA,
In the
isn't
first
Kobe
round.
DNA? Okay.
You know what Michael was doing in the first round?
What?
Getting beat by the Celtics.
Yeah, but you still knew. I mean, you did.
I need to be clear on a few things. No one knew anything. They were calling Michael Jordan a ball hog when he was scoring 63 points in a loss to the Boston Celtics.
Speak for yourself. I knew.
But more than that, you never credit the loser in a loss, Stugotz. The next time you do it will be the first. Your scoreboard is the ultimate argument maker. But Anthony Edwards, please tell us what it is that we're witnessing, because this player has been put in the stratosphere with Wade, and Stugotz is claiming right here in front of us that he doesn't have the DNA for it, and that he won't get that DNA until it needs to be in a few weeks when the schedule arrives, and then the DNA will arrive. Right now he doesn't have the DNA, but in a couple of weeks, just based on the schedule, he might be able to acquire the DNA. Bezos will have it shipped in during the finals.
This is how DNA works,
okay, no, it's not. It's the exact opposite of how DNA works. Like, you have it all wrong. It is the way DNA works is you're born with it. That's the way that it works. It's not based on the schedule. No, that's how it works.
Okay.
You
Are you a scientist now?
Well, you're not. It's not that I am, it's that you're clearly not. I'm not even closer to being a scientist than you are. It's just that you are the opposite of whatever a scientist
Rushing
is.
away from being a scientist.
You're
hurtling.
That is correct. It is just very far from wherever the beakers and the information are, the experiments, the testing. When you say something like he can't have the DNA for a couple of weeks and he's 22 years old, this suggests that right now Anthony Edwards could commit a crime anywhere and there would be no forensic proof. That's what you're saying. But in a couple of weeks,
there might be proof. We've
got a problem.
You stick to stand-up, I'll stick to DNA and science, okay?
All right.
Thanks.
Very good. We're both equally ill-qualified on both of those subjects. Anthony Edwards, though, is going to save Adidas, correct?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. This is a homegrown take right here from me.
Yes. This is a Tony
when
special.
I want you to put up the Anthony Edwards the AE ones right now. These are the best shoes Adidas, it feels like, has put out in the last maybe 10 years. I mean, as a shoe connoisseur like myself.
Basketball shoe?
As a basketball shoe,
Yes.
purely.
Yes, it is the best basketball shoe they've put out in quite a while.
Because if you look at Adidas athletes, Derrick Rose, James Harden, Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, not a good shoe between them. Ooh. You're talking about 5 guys that are stars in this league, and nobody really cares. I know they sell volumes of shoes. I know Dame sells well.
5 guys, no shoe.
Exactly. I know Harden sells well, but that's just volume stuff. They have Anthony Edwards. Yeah. Beautiful shoes, by the way. I don't know if you guys are looking at them right now.
There they are on the screen.
Yeah, they are. They're nice.
Very nice shoes.
Those are the shoes that get you to the Western Conference semifinals.
Those are the ones that get you
It looks like a honeycomb. I kind of want to like...
Yeah.
Some milk.
So with this, it feels like Adidas was struggling basketball-wise because obviously in soccer they do well. Outside of America, they do well in these things.
And also like lifestyle
for sure. But I'm talking about purely basketball. Adidas
Sambas
basketball
are so in right now.
Yes, they are. They're
They've
huge.
never been more in.
Biggest shoe I think right now
Ever.
selling.
I'm sick of them.
I need new like trainers for outdoor soccer, and I don't want to get them just because everyone's wearing them right now.
So it sounds like Adidas is not going to be saved by Anthony Edwards.
No.
Adidas
basketball.
Fine.
Adidas basketball was with the caveat. They had shoes that were kind of just like if you showed up to the park with Adidas, you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, come on, put something on. But if you look at Nike's athletes,
put some clothes on.
Yeah, like come on, you're wearing Trae Young. You're wearing Trae Youngs. Give me a break.
Yourself up.
Give me a break. But I'm not picking you. You got Lillard. Come on, what are you doing? But when you look at the roster of Nike athletes and their shoes, right? Yes. Obviously, they've got huge names. The shoe designs have kind of been stagnant. When you look at what Adidas did with Anthony Edwards, it was like, oh, wow, wait a second. We have not only a budding superstar in the playoffs, but now we have a product to match the game. I think he's going to save the entire product.
But let's talk about the game, though, because he's already being put in rarefied air because it is rare for someone this size to have this kind of jumping ability, this kind of athleticism. And in the first round, the way these stories build and the way people become superstars this time of year is that in the first series of the playoffs, he erases Kevin Durant and becomes his favorite player's favorite player. Kevin Durant says after the series, genuflects after being swept and says, this 22-year-old, I love his game. Now he goes into the next round and he's going against the champion, and the hype has started. And I don't see many ways that this person is stopped outside of injury by anyone who plays in this league. He's gonna get his
Wemby. Eventually?
Yeah, eventually, but not now. I'm talking about now. This series is fascinating. It's a great series, and Minnesota can beat Denver. And I'd like to see Minnesota against Boston because they have a lot of elements, and I have yet to see Gobert used properly in the playoffs, but he's super useful in this series because a defensive player of the year at that size with reinforcements to just wear down Jokic over the course of a series puts a pressure on Denver that very few others, or maybe nobody else, can.
Yeah, I do want to point out when you say wear down, Jokic had a bad first half. He came back in the second. He was 6 of 11 in the second half. He was 4 of 8 with 10 points.
I argue. The reason I said that I owe an apology to Tony and Juju, and Tony wants to sell his Minnesota's going to win the championship ticket.
I've got a couple tickets out there, Dan. I got in early on the price. I got Minnesota to win the Western Conference. I got them at plus 425. That one's for sale. I also have Minnesota to win the entire thing at plus 1,100. That one's for sale also.
Really?
In the first game, I mean, I understand.
How much?
You're using
we could talk.
I mean, you're using a sample. It's the correct sample to use. You're saying, well, the last few years, he's been the best player in the league. He's the MVP. That's the sample to use for Jokic, not game one.
That, and also, I understand that the playoffs is inherently a battle of adjustments. It's a chess match. Game one happened. There's a bunch of things that happen in there. Some of them were not to the quality of whatever schemes Coach Malone wanted. Some of them were and just didn't work. And so what they've been doing over the last 2 days is going over everything and tightening up their stuff. Also, Jamal Murray, I'm not making excuses, but Jamal Murray, that time off, he didn't practice at all, hadn't taken a shot, right? So they're going to make adjustments for tonight's game. And then whatever happens tonight, game 3 isn't until Friday. So that means they've got 5 more days, pretty much, of watching film and changing things and getting treatment for Jamal and all those things to make sure what happened in game 1 does not happen again. Especially when you talk about Jokic, right? You're talking about a player who's like a computer. His ability to process information and then attack you, not necessarily scoring every time, but the way that makes you look most vulnerable.
The turnovers is what got my attention, though, in this game. I mean, because you say he's a computer, can you tell me, Tony, can you look up for me the last time that Jokic had that number of turnovers in a basketball game? Because it is legitimately disorienting to me to see that person not be totally calm about the way that he's distributing and taking care of the basketball.
It was the game before.
Was it?
Yes.
That's right. Yep. Against the Lakers.
How many turnovers did he have?
He had 7.
7. Yeah.
And can you look through his records? Because to me, I'm not kidding you when I tell you that the 11 for 25 is weird to see next to his name, but it's also weird for me to see the 6 turnovers.
It was 7.
I know, I got that. You already mentioned
He had
that.
a 9-turnover game at Memphis earlier this season. He had 4 games of 7 turnovers throughout the season. He had 2 games of 6 turnovers and 4 more of 5 turnovers. So it's like, it happens, which, by the way, when you are the focal point of an offense and you're creating, usually we see this with point guards, but it's like, it's normal to have a lot of turnovers.
He's handling the ball.
Yeah, he's handling the ball. Dan, I'm not trying to take anything away from what Minnesota did. They had an excellent game plan of, we're going to make him be hurried. It's kind of like a quarterback. The hurried stat. They did that to Jokic, and he never gets hurried. But what I'm saying to you also is he's not going to be like, well, let me just try doing the same thing over, and I hope it won't happen to me again. He's going to make adjustments himself beyond the schematic adjustments Michael Malone makes. Jokic himself is going to know now, oh, this is what they did to me. So when they try to do it next time, I'm going to do this. And that's what the great players do, is when they figure out this is what you're trying to do, oh, okay. For instance, for a lot of basketball players at a young level, right? even all the way up to college. You go, you play, and you're playing against a team that's very aggressive. And they're like, oh, and they're denying, and like they're very aggressive. And at college, high school, middle school level, it's like, oh, I can't, what do I do? And then you get to the pros, you do all that stuff, and what happens, the guy takes one step this way, and then backdoor cuts. And you're dead because you can't do anything. All this is just bluster. It's almost like a distraction. That's a very simplistic thing. I'm not saying that's what Minnesota's doing. Minnesota's obviously doing something very sophisticated. What I'm saying is, at some point as a player, once you've seen something and you know it's happening, you can make a personal adjustment. Hey, next time they do it like this, I'm going to cut backdoor. I'm going to come back. Or the next time they try to shove me off my spot, I'm just going to inch up, and then we're going to go into a pick and roll, even though the play was originally horns action or whatever. So these things are all going to happen. Now, Minnesota might come out and win game 2 anyway because Anthony Edwards has another great game, because Mike Conley and Karl Towns and Naz Reid don't miss a shot. Like, those can happen as well. But what I'm telling you is, it's like what you saw in game 1 isn't necessarily representative. Like, oh, well.
No, but it's the combination, right? It's Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns going 15 for 24, and it's Jokic 11 for 25, 6 turnovers. So he's getting outplayed by the opposing center position.
He got outplayed. He's not getting outplayed. He got outplayed.
Right, but in the one game. But answer my question about what Anthony Edwards is, because this is not his.
Not Michael.
This is not yet. This is not his prime.
Yes.
He's going to keep getting better. Mm-hmm. He's 22, and I don't know how you stop that.
So this is my camera right here. You know, take people behind the scenes here. Dan has a little fancy box right here. Stugotz has a fancy box. When he wants to talk to the people on the other side of the glass, he can just hit a button and whisper, or not whisper if you're Stugotz, right?
Correct.
I don't have that. So everything I have to communicate with Tony and with everyone else in the shipping container is via sign language. So Tony asked me that very same question. Dan, what's the comp? What's the comp for a guy this young doing these sorts of things? And all I could do was hold up my shoe. That's the comp right there.
Yeah. Bad comp.
For the listening audience, I'm wearing Jordans.
Jordan 6 infrared, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Bread.
I mean, you don't want to be careful there, huh?
No. Look, you talk about a guy, because here's the other part about Anthony Edwards that criminally does not get discussed. He is an excellent defensive player. He's not just good, right? He is excellent defensively on the perimeter. And so it's a combination of the offense, the skill level, the physicality, the athleticism. He is the anti-Jalen Brunson in that way. Remember last week we talked about Jalen Brunson as a superstar, but you guys don't want to admit it because he doesn't have the look. That's what Anthony Edwards is. He is a superstar, and he has every bit of the look. And the look we're talking about is 6'6" from North Carolina.
Wait a minute, what just happened?
That's Ray Clay or whatever his name is.
That sounds like a character from The Simpsons.
Yay! Barney.
A little Mahomes in there as well. Jessica, are you ready for your F1 minute?
I'm ready, but I think this one might go long.
That's okay.
Okay.
2 minutes?
I don't know if this is going to go that long. It's an F1, perhaps 90 seconds. We'll see if I can fit it in.
It's very important that you be accurate around here in the segment that follows me saying, how long has it been since Jokic had 6 turnovers, and it was the game before. So be totally accurate.
I was unlucky for you.
Cars are going 200 miles per hour. Drivers are hitting the gas without fear, and traffic cones are being smashed. And that's just on I-95, folks. It's Miami Grand Prix weekend. It's a sprint weekend, and the Drivers Academy is in town. On Saturday, Lando Norris crashes out. Max Verstappen takes the win and has pole position. Netflix announces a new docuseries for the F1 Academy. Abby Pulling takes home the hardware. 57 laps to go. It's lights out. Checo nearly takes out Max on the first corner. Oscar Piastri bolts ahead, and the blue Ferraris are in the hunt. The Alpines are buffing again. Lando Norris is going long on his tires, and he hasn't pitted. But wait, Kevin Magnussen hits the back wheel of Logan Sargent's Williams, and here comes the safety car. Lando Norris gets a quick pit under the safety car and comes out ahead of Verstappen on hard tires. On the restart, Lando stays ahead. He has fresher tires, and he's keeping Verstappen at bay. With 20 laps to go, Lando has the advantage. Can Lando bring it home for the first time? McLaren tells Oscar Piastri, you better not crash. There's a 6-second gap between Max and Lando. It's the last lap. Lando Norris passes the fake Marina. He passes the Palacio de los Jugos red zone. He passes underneath the Florida Turnpike. He's down the straightaway. He's around turn 18, then 19. He's across the finish line. Oh, baby, he's done it. Lando Norris has won the Miami Grand Prix for the first time. He's on top of the F1 podium.
That was a minute.
It felt
excellent.
Just on time.
Dude,
excellently done.
Despite all the traffic.
You've gotten better and better at that. Your timing is impeccable. Very few stumbles. Excellent work, Jessica. Any other thoughts from the weekend? Because you covered the holy hell out of everything happening in Miami.
I'll
come back to you. Gather yourself. I'll come back to you. I'll give you a filibuster here by going to some sound
Metal
from
Duncan.
Suns owner Matt Ishbia. I want to get the thoughts here from former Suns executive
Gary Strusky.
El
Call him
Hassan.
Hot Pablo.
You met him?
On Matt Ishbia saying basically, and this is a flamboyant owner, he is aggressive. They don't have any first-round picks from 25 through 30. They don't have any second-round picks from this year.
Some would say they mortgaged their future.
He's a mortgage dork, Dan.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Made that joke last week.
He's so proud of him.
He is proud of that.
That doesn't make it less good.
Amin, what do you think of this sound here from Matt Ishbia when Anthony Edwards extinguishes Durant and the Suns?
Oh, it's extremely fixable. I mean, let's just be real. Although this isn't a cool narrative, and the national media really won't want to play it out there, but like, ask the other 29 GMs. 26 of them would trade their whole team for our whole team and our draft picks and everything as is. Like, the house is not on fire. We're in great position. It's not hard to fix. It's not like we're like, hey, we don't have enough talent to win a championship. We have enough talent to win a championship. Right? Do we have enough continuity? Do we have time together? Like, there's a lot of things we can look at. Do we have like the right leadership in place? Do we have to add some little pieces around that? It's not like we don't have people that can score the ball, not play defense and have one champ. Like, we have all the things. And so how fixable is it? And I mean, if I read the media, I would think we have a lot of problems. But luckily I get to spend time with, the best players in the world, in my opinion, the best coaches, GMs, see like all these people, and I get to spend time with our people and say, we're in really great shape, and I wouldn't trade our team or our situation for anyone else's, except for I'd like to be playing right now. But besides that, for like how going into the offseason, I feel great about it. It's not like there's a lot of other teams that have good players that have to re-sign them or they're going to lose them or that they're unrestricted free agents. Like, our starting five's coming back. I feel very good about it.
I mean, what's accurate there and what's inaccurate?
I don't think 26 teams would acquire their roster in their pick situation. I think it's fixable. Is it extremely fixable? No. But is it fixable? Absolutely. It's hard, though, because they've got so much tied in to three guys that are paid a lot of money for a long time. And I think this is what I said. If I'm the Suns and I'm trying to be realistic, I think it's like a 2-year job to really get this right. Because what you've got to do is invest in things that they organizationally decided years ago they didn't want to invest in, which is basically your farming, right? Going out, getting cheap prospects, developing them, making them into people who can be contributing factors on your team. They've got so much money tied in that the luxury tax makes it virtually impossible to add to your roster other than minimum deals.
I'm more worried about the Suns after listening to that.
He sounded like he just had a big face coffee. Also, Dan, the other thing I was going to say, but I couldn't fit this into my F1 minute, was I was going to say there's a huge, loud, orange thing in the McLaren garage. And I'm not talking about the car, folks. It's Donald Trump.
Hello, this is Dan Le Batard, and I have been granted exclusive access to the home of Doug from Des Moines, a man formerly known as Poppy on the show Highly Questionable, who left in scandal and disgrace after it was discovered he was not indeed a Hispanic man, but rather Doug from Des Moines, a paid actor. On Monday on YouTube at 7:30 p.m., we will have an exclusive revelation from Doug from Des Moines as he gives his first interview about the show Highly Questionable. You may know why it was named Questionable, but not until 7:30 on Monday on YouTube will you learn why it was called Highly Questionable.
What the hell are you talking about?